Hi, this is Mandy from Soulfully Soil. I'm going to talk to you a little more specifically about this cover crop of buckwheat, oats, and hairy vetch that I put into my food forest. You can see, if you remember the last few videos of the design, we have a little bit of a sort of a keyhole garden here. You can only now see because I've whacked down the cover crop. And so this is an experiment for me. I've not done this before. This is all sort of based on intuition and a little bit of what I've read. And it's an imperfect system. And I invite you, as you're designing your food forests, your edible forest gardens, and your regular annual gardens, to just really bring a sense of play and curiosity and intuition to the process. For me, it makes it less maddening when things are working or not working out. Because it really is just a game. It depends on the weather and it depends on all kinds of environmental factors that are out of your control. So if I'm not doing it from a fun and playful and curious space, I'm only left with frustration and uncertainty in the process. So when I arrived home after 5 weeks away, this is what I found, this massive jungly, you can't even see the lines of where the food forest starts and ends over here. So what I did is I got down this morning and just with my hand shears, and I started whacking down the cover crop. And by whacking down, I mean just at the base of where the buckwheat, oats, and vetch were. I just cut them off at the surface of the soil. And what's going to happen now, the other alternative is, one of the things that buckwheat's really great with is you can just kind of pull it out simply and lay it down. So all of this cover crop, all of this organic matter is going to decompose, create habitat, food for the biology of the garden. And it's going to create a mulch, which was the whole point of it being a living mulch. And now that I've chopped it down, it's going to decompose and add all of those nutrients back into the soil. And right now we've had degrees or temperatures in this area of above 30 for weeks and weeks. So we are in a drought condition, and retaining that moisture has been the hardest part of what's gone on in the last few weeks for this area. So it's really extra important that we are reducing our water consumption, but also making sure that the water that's on the soil doesn't blow away or evaporate. And so what I did was I just went through and started to cut down the cover crop. You can see places where there was actual perennials growing. These were the ostrich ferns that I had planted. I love the ostrich ferns. I love the idea of being able to pick fiddleheads in my yard. But they're typically found in established forest systems, and they like a cooler, not direct sun. And so I'm wondering if I misplanted them here. So this is part of my learning process. Again, it's imperfect and often just intuitive. So I'm not really sure whether or not that's going to survive. It doesn't really look like it in this moment. But now I kind of have a sense of, yeah, just what the temperature is and what's required for this area. You can see that there's a little tuft here of chives that I planted. They got a bit of a haircut as I was trimming the cover crop, but that's totally fine because they will come back no problem. And you can see that all of this mulch, all of this soon-to-be biomass is just going to break down and cover the soil so that it's not exposed. And you can see that this captivator gooseberry here was underneath all of that crop. You couldn't see it until I knocked it all down. We have some bee balm. There's some ground cover for thyme that is doing really excellent. It totally established underneath all of that, which is amazing to see. And then the other thing I found when I was whacking this down was the lemon balm I planted, and there's tons of it underneath here. So there's some things that did really well and other ones that needed a little more TLC, and that's okay.